Okay, I think that we are good now. All right, yes, we're not getting that feedback. We are good now. Streaming live on YouTube and over here on Zoom and on
Okay, I think that we are good now.
.com. I am Coach Hadassah.
Right, yes, we're not getting
And
that
we are
feedback.
here on
We
House
are
of
good now.
Hadassah,
Streaming live on
trading
YouTube
psychology. And over here on
I
Zoom
am
and
a
on
okay, I think that we are good now.
coach.com. I am
And I
Coach
work
Hadassah.
with
Yes,
a
we're
lot
not
of
getting that
moms.
feedback. Here on
We
House
are
of
good.
Hadassah,
I work with
streaming live on
trading
YouTube.
psychology.
Right. I
And
work
over
with
here
mostly
on
entrepreneurs.
I am a
Okay,
I think that we are good now.
Mompreneurs, empower
And
mom.
I
Coach
work
Hadassah.
right.
Right.
Yes, we're not getting that
Are
feedback.
here on
Mindset
coaching,
because I work
streaming
with
live on
trading
everybody, right?
psychology.
I work with mostly
Together. I
entrepreneurs
am a
as far as this is concerned. Are you still hearing feedback now? Let's see. Is there feedback now? Want to make sure that we okay. Okay, wonderful. All right, we're good. We're good now. All right. So yes, I work with entrepreneurs, empowering them through strategic mindset coaching in business and life, and mainly our forex students. Teaching students how to trade successfully and to be profitable in the forex market. Right, no matter what it is that we do, when we have a plan and a strategy, it makes it that much more effective, successful, and you cut the learning curve down, right? You cut down that learning curve. I mean, think about it. Um, let's say if you were going somewhere, right? And you pull up your GPS and it gives you these different, and there's different ways to travel to this same location. I don't know about you, but I usually choose the quickest way to get there. Right now, if I want to pay the tolls, I will I will choose that option because it's quicker, right? And I'll pay the tolls. Some people don't want to pay the tolls, so then guess what? They choose that option that it gets them there quicker, but avoiding the tolls is still going to be, a bit longer. So what does that say? Um, there are many times where if you want to get somewhere quicker, right? You have the quickest route, probably one of the more because think about it, a lot of people don't want to pay the toll, so that means that the traffic is not as heavy. Right, it's not as heavy, so they will pay to get there quicker and not have the heavy traffic, or to avoid the heavy traffic. And if we want to be successful in life, there is a price to pay, right? Sometimes it's monetarily, sometimes it's in time and, energy, but there's a price to pay to get there quicker, and where you can avoid the traffic of a lot more people, right? So there's that analogy. Okay. So today on House of Hadassah, we're really going into a part two, astro psychology. We talked about this on Tuesday in our trade in psychology. And of course, on Thursdays, this is more of our health and wealth session. So this will be the wealth part of the health and wealth session. I mean, we're going to into part two, because there are some things that's going on, right? As above, so below, on earth as it is in heaven. Well, what's in heaven? What's going on in the heavens, right? And how will we see that manifested on the earth and on the earth plane? Not only just in the heavens, as far as, the heavens, galaxies, and all of that, but heaven is a mind state. you know Heaven is a mind state, so it's not only there, but what's going on in our minds, right? In our minds. So again, with that strategic mindset, we want to clear away all of the those former things that um may be actually blocking or hindering our success. And you can definitely utilize the energies. Everything is energy. Every single thing on the planet and off this planet is energy. Okay. So even the these planetary movements and the sun and the moon and the stars and all of these things, they give off energy. Okay. And we can tap into that energy. We can connect or align with that energy and utilize that energy to help us to manifest the things that our hearts desire, right? That was placed into our hearts to desire in order to do what? Manifest it. So we'll be talking about this Pluto and Aquarius energy that is that aspect took place where it moved forward into Aquarius on March 23rd, right? March 23rd. And it'll be there for the next couple of weeks. We're going to have a retrograde where Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn for a bit. And then it's going to move direct or forward in Aquarius. And we'll see this transformation that takes place in our world. Okay. Over the next 20 years, just like it did with Capricorn, right? If we weren't paying attention or if we weren't aware, what we've seen over the past 19, 20 years or so, when Pluto transited into Capricorn in 2008, there were some things that we saw. So if you could think about the things that were going on in 2008, right? You had um we were in a recession and you had some real estate stuff going on, um uh change in corporate America and government, people in their titles and positions, and all of these things were happening and transpiring and taking place. If there was any abuse of power, right, any abuse of authority, any abuse of titles and positions, those things were basically brought to the surface and brought out in order for people to deal with these things, right? It was like, here's the mess, clean it up, right? In government, in politics, and again, in these authoritative positions that, if it was being abused, then that was something that was needed to be dealt with. Corporate and corporate structures, people feeling the need to not be burdened anymore, or capped or limited um by things, and just really calling out for freedom, in which that's what Aquarius is all about. It's about freedom, it's about individuality, it's about progression, it's about forward movement, the advance in technology. These are all the things that we're about to see with Pluto in Aquarius. Over the next 20 years, our world will be changed. I mean, not changed, transformed. Because with change, you could go back. With transformation, you cannot go back, right? There's no going back. So what does this have to do with anything? And of course, for my religious people, I am a very spiritual person. I believe in my Heavenly Father, Yahweh Elohim, and Yahshua Messiah, who came and died for the sins of mankind. I believe in all of that, right? And I believe in the name that was given. He was a Hebrew person. He was born in Hebrew nation, all that kind of stuff. I use the original correct names, all of that. I believe the story. you know, I am a avid student of scripture, not only the canonized version of the Bible, which means that there are certain books that were authorized um, to be made available to the public. However, there are also books that the ruling council did not include in the Bible that we can buy at the store or whatever, that I've read those books as well. Not all of them, because many of them are sitting in the Vatican that will never be released to the public, because then the public would have information that would just shut this whole thing down. you know, but there are other books as well that I've studied that just makes it makes the whole thing make sense, right? And it will give you a sense of religious and spiritual freedom, to where it would pit it would change some things. I'll just put it that way. It would change some things. So, I just have to put that out there, that this is not how things have been made, or put out there as a way of like, oh, don't believe in that stuff because it's this or it's that or it's witchcraft or it's such and such, a so and so, and on to the night. This is taken right from Genesis, which is the first book, right? uh and Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. So astrology, right, is just basically the study, right? Ology means study, right? Astro, that has to do with the heavens, the sun and the moon and the stars. So it's the study of the astros, right? And the meaning of them. Like, what do these certain things mean? When we look into the heavens and we see, there's this app, it's called, what is it, Sky Map. And if you ever been to the planetarium, in Chicago, we have the Alder Planetarium. And, you go in there and they show you all of the, like the Big Dipper and the Orion's Belt and all of these things. Well, there's this app that you can put on your phone. It's called the Sky Map. And when you open it up and you point it towards the heavens, you'll see all of these different constellations. You'll see even the constellations like Aries and Taurus and Gemini and Cancer and Leo, and you'll see all of those, uh, and even more than that, right? You'll see even more than that. So, it's like, well, why is that? Well, it's basically a like a watch, right? Like a time clock that the creator made, right? Like the person that makes the watch, we have that in order to tell time, so that we can be on time, get prepared before time, so that we can be on time, so that we're not late, right? And so Yahweh already said that he put these things in the heavens for days and for times and for seasons. They're timekeepers. That's it. Now he's eternal outside of time, like he made it. So he's not bound to it, right? But there are things that happen, that we can see on the planet, that if we can tell the time, if we know the time, we can see and get prepared before the time again, so that we could be on time, right? And so being on time with this planetary um aspect that is happening, as far as Pluto in Aquarius, right? Seeing things, I saw them, right? Seeing things like, okay, this is happening because it's making way for this. And you start seeing certain things happen, these advances in technology. Look, this chat GPT and AI and all of this that started to come, out. And there are more people who are aware of this technology now. And there are some people that still kind of behind, right? Some of them will be latecomers, and some of them will miss it. Just like if you didn't get prepared before time to be at the bus stop or the plane station, or train station or the airport or whatever, to be on time, you'll miss the plane, you'll miss the bus, you'll miss the transit, right? Miss the transit to get to a destination, right? So we don't want to be left behind. So here's the thing, JP Morgan, and we said this on the last on Tuesday, and if you're on YouTube, you can go back and watch that video. JP Morgan. So we know JP Morgan and Company, and we're going to talk about him a little bit more in depth later on in this discourse, where he was put on to say these two different quotes. Anyone could be a millionaire, but to become a billionaire, you need an astrologer. And millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. These people, who were in these higher elite positions and things like that, and even back in like in the scriptures, in the Bible, when you had these kings and pharaohs and they have their council that they put together, there are astrologers on their team, because they even know and understand, they have more higher knowledge to know that we need to know the times, and we need those people who know how to read the time clock of the heavens. So we need them on our team so that we could be ahead, because we have a lot of people who we are governing, that we have to have provide resources for, and this is that and the other. In the scriptures, it talked about that with uh Joseph, right? With Joseph, and Yahweh was with him. He was an interpreter of dreams because Yahweh gave him that ability to do so. And when that Pharaoh had a dream, and he said he called laws of his sorcerers and magicians and astrologers, they had the ability to do those things. But because Yahweh was putting Joseph in a position, he did not allow those people who were on his team to um to interpret that dream. They could have, but Yahweh just had it to where it's like, no, I'm not gonna allow them to do it, because I want to put Joseph, that is in that lineage of the one who had faith in me, which was Abraham, to put him in the position to be here to do said thing, right? But an astrologist or an astrologer can have that same power and ability as well, if Yahweh so deemed to give that to them. They already have the skill set. It's just a matter of knowing, just like how if you know how to tell time and read an analog clock. At one point, I wasn't able to read an analog clock when I was younger, and my grandmother taught me how to tell time on an analog clock, and boy, it was grueling. Oh Lord, have mercy. She wouldn't let me go outside until I could tell her what time it was on the clock. I learned quickly after that, because at first she was getting frustrated, and I would call her, Grandma, can I go outside? And she, okay, tell me what time it is right now, and tell me what time. I want you to be back at what time, and tell me what time that is on that clock. I'm just sitting there looking. And she like, you will not walk out that door and until you can tell me what time it is right now, and then what time you're supposed to be back according to that clock. I'm like, oh yeah, I learned. I learned real quick then. But how to read it, how to tell the time by it. So it's the same thing, how to tell the time by the heavens, and what we'll see transpire over, like it says here, for days, and for look for the signs, how we have, oh, it's springtime. How do we know it's springtime? Because we hear the birds chirping, the it's light a little bit longer because the time changed. Um, what else? We're gonna start seeing the trees bud with the new leaves and things like that. Those are signs, right? The weather, that's a sign, it changes. when we get rain, it's like, oh, I could tell it's about to rain because, you might smell the scent or whatever. Those are signs, right? For seasons, for days, right? And you can tell that by the the sun movement, the moon movements, all of those things. Okay. It's right there in this very same book that people will say, oh, because the Bible say. It's like, no, I really do know what the Bible say because I study it. Right. I study. So that's there. And that's the reason why I put that there. And so JP Morgan, I say JP Morgan Chase because, Chase Banks, but he knew, as well as, like I said, a lot of other, we call them elite, people. Even Nancy Reagan, she was using astrologers all the time to tell the times. That's pretty much it. Tell the times in order to be on time. All of us will make $1 million in our lifetime. If you work a job at $25,000 a year for 40 years, you've made $1 million, but it doesn't necessarily make you a millionaire. It just means that you've made $1 million, right? But we get into the net worth, like after all bills are paid and we don't have debt, or maybe we do have debt, but we make more money than our debts are, then we have a net worth of, if that net worth is of a million or more because we have certain assets or things like that, then okay, we're a millionaire, right? But billionaire, you need some inside knowledge. And do not think for 1 minute that, a lot of these people that we see, and there's more that we don't see, right? That are like billionaire status. Um, they have this help. Trust me when I say that they do. Or otherwise, astrologists like us would not even have, we wouldn't even be doing this, right? We wouldn't do this because people wouldn't pay us in order to help them with the times of how they would be more successful, because it's right there in your birth chart. So again, with this Pluto moving into Aquarius, just a little bit of back, story into um into Aquarius. Its ruling planet is Saturn and Uranus. Before Uranus was discovered in about, I think it was 1858, um, Saturn was the planet that was its ruler, which it shares with Capricorn. Okay. It's a masculine energy, or, masculine energy means that it's an energy that projects or gives. That's almost a good thing. Um, its element is air, right? It's an air sign. That's what we call air signs. It's curious, intellectual, perceptive, very alert and aware. Its mode is fixed. And so this is a sign that we see in the wintertime. So Capricorn initiates or starts off the winter season. But when we're in the Aquarius season, that means like it is winter. We are fixed in wintertime. And that's when it's usually the coldest, right? In the winter, the coldest. It's determined, stable, and persistent. It stabilizes the season, right? So the winter season, it stabilizes that season. Um, and again, it's so the themes or the things that we see with that Aquarius again is progressive. We'll see things like um the technological advances. Um, there are things that we call, like a ruler, or what it rules over. Again, that's like technology, um uh updates. Like, say I have an Apple phone, right? And I just um upgraded my Apple phone from an 11 to a 14. They sent me a thing and saying, hey, we'll give you $800 for your old phone. And so the new phone will be on us. I was like, bet, where do I, where you want me to mail it? Right? Sign me up. Give me the new phone. Take this one. This will be on you guys. Wonderful, right? Like I don't have to pay for a new phone. Wonderful. But I just updated the phone because why? Well, there will be some new software and all of that stuff that probably won't work on the older phone. So you get a new one, right? Update it because you want to stay again, you want to stay updated, on time, all of these things. You don't want to be behind. You don't want to be behind. It is a very independent, free loving, intuitive, inventive type of spirit. And there's positive and negatives of everything. Okay. Positives and negatives of everything. So, we're just gonna focus on these things right here when it comes to that Aquarian energy. So what we'll cover here with our unique money blueprint, because everybody has one. We've covered, like before, the basics of astrology. We're covering your money mindset, your money houses, planets, earned income, speculation, and entrepreneurs, right? So we went over this last week with the astrology basics, with the signs, planets, elements, and modes, and also what with the planetary energies and what they represent: the sun, Mercury, Venus, Moon, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, right? And those are its glyphs. So when you see, um here's the thing, these pictorial illustrations, there was the reason why, say back in ancient times, but it's still even being used today. There will be big pictorial illustrations that, it's almost like shorthand. If anybody remember shorthand, my grandmother did, she did shorthand, like she wrote shorthand because she worked at a law firm. She was a secretary at a law firm, and so she had to dictate or take notes, based on what the lawyers were dictating and all of that type of stuff. So you couldn't sit there and write everything out. So she had to be quick. So she wrote shorthand. I remember all the books and everything that was around, and she would always have these legal pads around the house. And she would, not only in her job, but she just did that at home too. She had to write herself a quick note. She'll write shorthand. She knew what it was. She knew what it meant. I did not know, but it looked like little hieroglyphics to me, right? But again, she knew what it was. So when we see these different things, these signs or logos, and all of these have a meaning, right? So when you see these glyphs, like if a person that doesn't know see these things here, they don't know what they are. But if I see them without the without what's the words beneath them, I know that, oh, that picture is, it means it's the sun. This means Mercury. This means, here, Venus. Everybody knows this glyph of the moon. This is Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Because our psyche, okay, we talk about psychology, that is the study of the psyche. The psyche, soul, and mind are synonymous. It's one and the same, right? Our psyche or our mind reads signs and colors quicker than words. And this is why pictures or pictorial illustrations are used to communicate with the psyche quicker. It sends a quicker message than the reading of the letters and words, right? This is the reason why logos are so powerful. Any business, it's like the first thing they do is it's like, hey, we have to create your logo, right? Why is that? That logo has to have a meaning. It has to have meaning to communicate quickly with the customers or clients that you want to connect with. That's why every company has a logo. And then even the colors that they choose. These things aren't just random, right? People want to know, well, why is it, like, why is it that Starbucks is so successful? Do you know it's because of their logo? It is because of the logo. No one thought that people would go out and pay $5 and $6 for a cup of coffee when you can get you can get a 10 of coffee that'll last, at least depend on you as a coffee drinker, a week or two or something like that, for almost the same amount. But why would I go spend that much on a cup? It's because of the message that's communicated with the psyche through the logo. And what is that? A picture of a woman, which is the nurturer, right? And the colors being green and white. Green represents nurturing and white represents purity. But not only with this woman, it's actually, they made it a female, or made it feminine. However, that image was really a Philistinian god called Dagon. That's where they really originally got that from, and they just changed it from that to a female image. But it was a Philistinian god called Dagon back in ancient times in the Bible, right? A lot of these things are already in the Bible, but that's where that logo came from. And then they chose those colors, and that communicates with the psyche. And everybody is going to Starbucks, even me. I like their chai tea, right? I'll go. I mean, I won't go every day, but if I'm go to the airport, I'm going somewhere. Oh yeah, I'm stopping at that Starbucks and at O'Hare Airport, and I'm getting a chai tea latte and my little breakfast sandwich, and whatever. And I'm not even thinking about how much I paid for it, because it's a business expense. I'm usually traveling for business, right? I'm writing it off anyway. So that's the thing. But these pictorial illustrations, it communicates with the psyche, right? With the psyche. So with mapping your money, because everybody has an individual money blueprint. Everybody has one, right? And so you want to maximize yours, because your birth chart reflects your individuality and every facet of the person that you are. Each of the planet signs, houses, and planetary aspects offer a key to your uniqueness, your personality, likes and dislikes, interests, talents, strengths, and challenges. So as a whole, your birth chart is a map. Your birth chart is your map, right? I wear, like, I have my little gold chain, and I have uh people always ask me when they see it. That's like, oh, that's cute. That's unique. What is that? Well, it's my birth chart on my neck, right? It's like, this is my map. Dora the Explorer, right? My map is on my neck. So uh your birth chart, your natal chart is unique to you, right? So it's a map, and when it's combined with your free will, right? With your free will, and everybody has free will. Everybody has the free will not to follow their map. I mean, but then kind of think about that. You want to go somewhere, you want to get to your destination, but I'm not going to use this map. I'm going to just figure it out. You can figure it out. Might take you a little bit longer, right? Some bumps and bruises and pit stops and places you didn't want to go to and all of that type of stuff along the way, right? But with your free will, it reveals your path and opportunities to excel, stumble, learn, and grow in all areas of your life, including your finances. And once you're familiar with the basics, of the astrology and your astrological map, you'll be ready to learn about yourself and your money. So don't be surprised if your birth chart tells you what you already know, because you have it in you intuitively. This is why it's not a great idea to fight against your intuition. Your intuition. Tuition is something that we pay, right? So we can't pay it money. What we do is we pay attention to what's within. And as a result of that, then we can then guess what? Guess what'll just flow automatically? The money, right? So take it as a confirmation in our world, especially, in our space, in the Forex space, as like peer confluence, right? You may find it empowering and know your strengths and weaknesses so that you can own it using your birth chart and astrology to map your money. So your money mindset, everybody has one. You can pretty much find it in your own chart. So we have this, we can call it a wheel, right? 12 houses. Just like, again, like a clock, right? You got a clock, and what do you have? You got 12 numbers on that clock, right? 12 hours, 12 in the day and 12 in the night. That makes up a total 24 hours, but it's 12 day, 12 night, right? Or 12 evening. So we have 12 houses in this chart, right? Which with your money mindset, you have a fundamental nature expression with your sun sign, and this gives you, your attitude about money, right? Your moon sign, your emotions and security. We always talk about that in trading, with your emotions, right? Your ascendant or rising, which would be like your aura, your personality, and how you channel your energy. Your midheaven or MC, which is your calling, your career, your reputation, status, how the world sees you, or, how they perceive you, your reputation out there. People may know you as your titles. And then that's that whole Capricorn thing, pretty much. Like Capricorn rules the 10th house. That's your public image, your social contributions, your social standing, parents, because they're the role models and in examples, things like that. It's maybe how people perceive me, good and bad, right? This good and bad, how they perceive me, you know. So and how they perceive you doesn't necessarily that means that that's who you are, but it's just how you perceived, right? That's it, because what if I people might know me as, I mean, I don't drive Uber. Nothing wrong with it, you get your hustle on. But uh they say, "Oh, that's the Uber driver." Well, I drive Uber, but that does make me, that's not like who I am as a person. You see what I'm saying? Oh, they're a doctor. That's what they do for, their career. But then guess what? One day you retire. One day you might not, just like, I don't want to be a doctor anymore. You know how many doctors that I know who stopped, who left the profession when they learned trading, right? I mean, they like, I quit. I don't want to be a doctor anymore. I want to trade. Like, I make more money trading. So that pretty much showed that they were in that profession because of maybe they were told, like, hey, you could be a doctor, you could make a lot of money. And then once they got in it, it was like, ooh, you know, but because it's, pretty prestigious, right? And then, hey, I learned this skill set and I could make way more money without all of the bureaucracy and the lawsuits. I mean, think about it. You make a wrong move or something with somebody's health, you can get sued, right? And so they're like, nah, I'm out. So what it if you're a doctor, you're a doctor. Like that's something that you were called to do. But some people do it for money. I mean, come on. A lot of people do the things that they do for money. So we're at this point where it's like now you especially with this energy, right? This Plutonian energy moving into Aquarius, it's all about authenticity because that's what Aquarius is about. The individual authenticity, and not only that, humanitarian. So what are we doing as far as our calling that would not only give us, rewards, but we're doing what we're doing for humanity as well, right? That's not just about a, career in order for me to have a public reputation and status and making money, but really truly being authentic, right? And that's where that Capricorn energy comes out, because that's what it's like. Capricorn, that's all about. I mean, not, and I'm not just saying this as far as like Capricorns, but just that's that 10th house energy and what that represents. The climb to get to, you know, uh this this top of whatever. But then you get there, and if that's not something that was really authentic to who you are and what you were really purposed to do, again, not only for yourself but humanity, then you see where you pretty much come off of that mountain, right, to get to the authentic self. So with money of value expression, this is where we look at the planet Venus and the second house, right? Because this traditional ruler here is Taurus, second house. Um, and Venus rules is the planetary ruler of Taurus. This is about your personal resources, right? Your earning potential and your income, your self-esteem, how you value yourself, how you value your skills and talents that you have, right? Like what are the, like in a job, human resources, right? Everybody know about HR, human resources. That means that the humans that we hired have some specific talents and skills that we've negotiated pay to say, hey, if you come here for these many hours and you use the skills and talents that you have in order to help our company for 8 hours a day, we will pay you this much. And you either negotiate that and say, that's not enough, right? I need this for this. Or if you're just like, oh, okay. And then, maybe it's okay for you, or maybe you feel like you're working like a Hebrew slave and you're not getting paid enough. And maybe you try to negotiate that and like, well, we only have this. And then you decide if you want to continue to utilize your skill sets and talents for said company to make millions and billions of dollars while you only make a little bit, or what, that's the second house for you, right? That's the second house for you. The opposite house of that, this would be Scorpio. Traditionally rules this house. It is ruled by Mars and Pluto, because Scorpio, before Pluto was discovered, was ruled by Mars. So Mars and Pluto rules this house. It's joint resources, loans, banks, taxes, death and rebirth, divorce. It's all like this house right here. This is shared resources. So where this is, the second house is your personal resources, right? This house right here would basically be like your employer's money pool, and where they are paying you from this pool of money, right? So the second house and eighth house is connected, right? Taurus, Scorpio, right? Share resources. This is where, again, you have taxes and you file your taxes like we're in tax season. Joint resources where, if you're married and you're sharing resources, right? Not only in money, but in the gene pool, right? Sex is also seen by this house, sexual energy, right? Where you can bind and come as one, right? Um, uh, and so that's why I say, death and rebirth. So when someone dies and they leave you something, or look, if you divorce and now where you have this combined resources, now you have to separate it, right? And that's not only just physically, but also in energy, emotionally. That's why it feels like a death when that happens, right? But then, of course, there's rebirth. Okay, so that's that house of shared uh resources. Like I said, banks, loans, taxes, credit, things like that. And Pluto, again, that's that same house, inheritance, generational wealth. So you see where generational wealth is not personal, that is shared resources where it's accumulated, right, over generations. You put this in, this one put this in, the grandfather, the grandmother put this in, and then you put it in, and now your children and all of that, right? Those money pools. So everybody has the houses. So say this is a natal chart. This is what a natal chart looks like, right? Like this is an example. This is actually my natal chart, right? This is an example of a natal chart. This is actually mine. And so at the time that I was born, all of these aspects and things like that here. I have a kite, uh, patterns. We talk about that in trading, right? Pattern recognition. Guess what? Your birth chart has a pattern too. It has a pattern there. And when you see and you can recognize these patterns, it can show you, some areas where, things maybe like easy flowing energy. You'll see some challenging energy. It doesn't mean that it's a blockage or anything. It just means it's something that you have to overcome. Um, some opposition energy that actually works together, like we call them force couples. Like there's some muscles in our body that are called force couples. That means they work in opposite direction, but that's in order to keep you upright. So say your traps in the back, right? And then your pecs up front. Um, if you're experiencing bad posture where you're like slumped over, it's because one of the force couples of muscles are weak. So if you're like slumped over, then your traps are being overworked because your pecs are weak. So you would do some exercises like push-ups and stuff like that to work the pecs so that your pecs become stronger, so that it helps with your positioning. Yep, so that it helps with your I'm sorry about that. So it helps with your posture, right? Because they pull in opposite directions. So if both are strong, pulling in opposite directions, it helps to keep your posture standing upright and straight. So when we see these, like opposition energy in a birth chart, doesn't mean that it's bad or good or whatever. It just means that we need this opposing energy to be working very well to keep whatever the houses it represents, and the actual sign, the two planets that's there and what they mean or represent, that they're both healthy and operating so that it keeps whatever it is going on upright. Right. So moving forward, now we're going to look at a couple of charts here. Earned income, right? An employee turned small business owner. Okay. Because employment is not bad. Right. Now, you won't make as much money as you maybe need to have to carry out a purpose for you if there's something that you have to do on a larger scale, right? But if that's not your calling, you don't need that. I mean, you see what I'm saying? And so if earned income is in your calling, it's in your chart, then that is good for you. And you can maximize that. You can maximize it, just like this person did. So I'm going to read a little excerpt here. In the 1940s, the average annual salary in the United States was $1,299, and the minimum wage was 43 cents an hour. OMG, the minimum wage was 43 cents an hour in the 1940s. By 2001, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, average per capita income was $22,851, more than double the 1967 figure of $11,067 adjusted for inflation, because we will have inflation. In 2002, 28% of wives earned more than their husbands, and an increase from 22% in 1990. Overall, of course, many people earn far less than the average, and others have income in the hundreds of thousands to millions. Does everyone have the potential to be among the top 5% in earnings? Probably not, right? Like everybody won't get to the 1%, where that means that your income is like $597,000 a year, right? However, many fall short of their earning potential because they fail to maximize the talents and skills indicated in their birth charts, right? So you may be below what your birth chart is even indicating that you're capable of your earning potential. And you don't want to be below what your birth chart is saying, right? Like that's where we read charts in Forex, right? We look at the charts, we're marking up the charts in order to take our trade and all of that. Why not your own birth chart to see what your earning potential is? Also looking at the different houses to see even if speculation is good for you. There's a reason why everybody is not, doing the stock market or Forex or stock options and things like that. It may not be in their chart to do. It may not be, right? Do I think the whole world needs to be doing this? No. No. But if I see a connection between their second house, eighth house, and fifth house, then I'm like, listen, this is what I need. I'm gonna need you to sit down, right? Let me sit down with you, and we'll go over these different ways that you can maximize this fifth house energy for your, earning and wealth potential here, right? That's what we want to do. So this person, employee turned small business owner, basically, in a nutshell, their story was, because you can see there's some second house, again, that's earned income. Third house is basically like local environment, but then also your basic, your like primary school education or elementary school education, right? From like K to 12th grade, where ninth house is, your college, university, or even basic courses that you take, or learning through experience out there in the world, right? That's what that is. This is 12. This is K through 12. And this is again college, university, learning through experience out there in the world, just higher knowledge, whatever that is for you, right? And then also going into, moving from a local environment to another environment like outside of your state. And basically that's what this person did. They were in a tumultuous relationship, and we can see that over here about this seventh house energy, right? They have seventh house energy here, a tumultuous relationship, and it just wasn't working for her, and the way that the relationship itself was set up, it was in a way where it sabotaged her earning potential, right? Because again, look, emotions. She had her moon here, right? So for her emotions, that emotional energy, and she's going back and forth or whatever was going on in that relationship, then once she decided to get out of it, things started looking up for her. You know, she was earning a lot less. She ended up getting out of that relationship. She took a job. She took a job somewhere like a local uh, uh, bookstore or something like that. And then she found this talent that she had uh, for books in some way, shape, form, or fashion, where she helped that bookstore owner maximize their profits by the way she handled their inventory. And so she was able to negotiate a deal with the bookstore owner that allowed her to help them set up some other shops. So when she did that, now her self-esteem, is pretty much hiking at that point. Cause you see where this she has signed her sun and Jupiter right here in the second house. So that helped to boost her self-esteem. And is that I'm sorry, patience. Okay. So I'm sorry. So yeah, with her earning potential boosted because her self-esteem boosted, right? She was able to help a local, um, and you see these Aries glyphs right here. She was able to help a local shop that she worked in to boost their earnings, which boosted hers. And as she was able to help them with maximizing things in their store, she figured, hey, I could do this for myself. Right. And so, that ended amicably, of course, to where even the owner of that store helped her with her own entrepreneur endeavors. Of course, you see all of this Aries energy. Aries is definitely a sign of entrepreneurship. Trust me, I know I am an Aries with a lot of Aries energy, right? So, um, um, they actually helped her with getting started, and she moved, right? She moved from the state that she was living in, and I think she moved to another state or out of the country, like either one. And when she moved and she started You see this energy right here, moving from here to here. That's you see these lines going here. That's that opposition, right? So she moved from her local environment to, it was either another state or a country, and she started her own, started her own small business where she was able to pretty much do the same thing. And she opened up some other local shops and hired employees, and boom, there it was, right? All in her chart, all right there in her birth chart. And it's awesome. So employee turned small business owner, right? She didn't stay an employee, but employee, being an employee worked for her, right? So here, and I won't go too much into this, but speculation is a fifth house matter. Speculation is Forex. Speculation is stock market. Speculation is stock options, binary options, lottery, gambling, right? And it's recreational. So you really do have to be in a good emotional space where it feels like fun for you, because that's this house. The fifth house is traditionally ruled by Leo, right? So Leo, that's that sign of, it's ruled by the sun. It's that sign of confidence. So you got to be confident in this area of whatever, like whatever sign that is for you in this house. You have to be confident in that area, right? So because it's a fifth house matter. And so for this, although there's no planets here, but depending on the sign that's on this house, which is, it looks like it's Virgo. So then I would look for the ruler of that sign to see where it is, in their charts, and seeing the aspects in the houses that it's in. So for this person, professional gambler, they did that professionally, like going to the casinos, and if they played blackjack or things like that, they were risk takers. The fifth house is about risk. With Forex, you're taking risk, right? You don't know if this trade is really going to pan out or not. It can have everything there, where it's like, oh, this is the zone. This is the sell zone. It was here before and it did this and it did that. And then next thing you know, you set everything, you set the parameters. Hopefully you set a stop loss. And then you know, if it wants to break structure and it breaks past that, although it looked like in history before, you look back like, oh, every time it came to this part, this point, it sold. Every time it came to this point, it sold. It could do something different. And if you don't have that stop loss there, and it breaks that structure and just continues to buy or sell, you're looking like, whoa, that's a gamble. It's a risk that you're taking, right? So you want to manage those risk well, because it's a fifth house matter. Look, dating. This house rules dating as well. You're taking risk. You're going out on a date with somebody that you do not know. You don't know if you're going to have a good time or a bad time. You don't know if they cool or they crazy. You don't know. You're taking a risk, right? It's no wonder Leo, it rules the heart. Matters of the heart. It's a risk. It's risky, right? I love them not. All of that. And then maybe this goes over here into marriage. This is marriage. This is where we balance each other out. We make contractual agreements. We agree, we negotiate. But everything that starts here doesn't end up here, right? Doesn't. So these are two different areas, two different houses. Dating and marriage are two different things. That's why when you date someone and everything, it's like it was one way. And then when you get to the marriage part of it, it's like, oh, it's changed and I want that such and such back. you moved into a different space. It's different. This is negotiation time now. This is where you balance, right? And then you have to move into this area where you become one. It is a process. And we won't even skip this house because this is your everyday. It's like, yeah, we were having fun here, but now, don't we talk about that in trading? We start out and we're learning. This is also a house of education as well, because we learn through play. In early education, we learn through play. Children learn better when they're playing and exploring, right? And then this house, it's about your everyday mundane routine, right? How we do things the same way, our chores, when we clean up after ourselves, when we take care of our hygiene and our work environment, and how we serve, and if we're taking care of pets or ourselves or other people. This is a house of service. So you see how we go here from fun and speculation and dating and all of that to the mundane, everyday routine, to the negotiation, to the becoming one. It's a process. And then what we believe, the spirit of things, our reputation, how people see us out there in the world. Are we married? Are we not? Or, what do we have? All of those things, our networks. This is the house that Aquarius rules. Our networks, our friendships. This 11th house and 5th house go together. So right now, with Pluto moving into Aquarius, it's not necessarily moving into your 11th house unless you have Aquarius ruling your 11th house. Those who have Aquarius ruling their 11th house are either Aries risings, or those who have Aries on their ascendant, or sun sign Aries. Like, I'm a sun sign Aries. So, but then I also have Leo ruling my ascendant. So I have Aquarius here in my 7th house, and then in my basic sun chart, Aquarius here in my 11th. So I'm looking for my one-on-one relationships and business partnerships and networks and friendships to be transformed. They will not look the same after, in these next 20 years. These 2 areas of life for me will be transformed. And I'm here for it. That means I have to transform with it or get stuck or left behind in Capricorn kind of energy. And I'm not going. Right? Like, I will not be stuck. I refuse. Right? So whatever Aquarius for you, the house that it's in, you want to look at that and see, or with the house that it rules, because that's an area of transformation for you. And the opposite house which would be, a Leo ruled house, or again, if Aries is on your rising, then we are looking at this 5th house and 11th house. Right? Where do you have heart? Where do you have heart? Where's your confidence? Where is that where you're, the individual, your individuality? And also because the fixed signs, it will, this energy will, affect your personal resources, your shared resources, your confidence in your individuality. Why? Because all of the fixed signs will be affected, which is Taurus. That's about your self-esteem, your personal resources. It will affect Scorpio, Leo, again, your confidence, right? It will affect your shared resources that you have jointly with another, banks, wherever your money pools are, It will affect that. And your network, your organizations, your groups, your friendships, it will affect that in some way. It will transform it to where it doesn't look the same. It will not be the same after this transit. Again, over the next 20 years. Okay? So it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It will be a progressive transformation. Right? So allow that transformation to happen. Do not fight it. Don't fight it. Don't buck up against it. Transform with it. If you were looking for transformation somewhere in your life, this is it. Right? This is it. And so and especially for those who are again in this space, forex, stock market, stock options, binary options, any gambling of some sort. Hey, ride the wave. And this is also a chart of someone who, look, they were a millionaire. They had some stock market losses. Because let's not act like you're going to get, in this space and not have some losses. That could be the thing too. Sometimes we could be overconfident. That's that Leo sun, right? Like overconfident, and then boom, blown account. Right? I've experienced that. Blown account. And you don't want to blow your account so much to where you just are totally taken out the game and just defeated. Right? And we can look at all of that in your birth chart. And then also, here is the birth chart of JP Morgan, the mega millionaire who was quoted that, hey, millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do, right? Because he had a reading, looked into his chart, and I mean, this was there. It was there. So all he did was maximize the chart. He maximized it. He said, instead of me looking at this map of mine, my individual map, and saying, that's of the devil, or whatever it is that people say out here. Oh, I don't believe in that stuff. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe the truth in order for it to be the truth. You don't have to believe a lie in order for it to be a lie. I remember one time just minding my own business on my way home from Bible class, like had to be 20 years ago. Because I remember it was after the birth of my son, Meyer, who is about to be 21. So it wasn't too long after I had him. And I was on my way home from Bible class. And Holy Spirit speaks to me. And I'm just driving along the expressway. And, we have these gifts and talents if we tap into them. I believe everybody has them. It's just a matter if you utilize yours or not, right? So I'm driving and I hear Spirit say to me, there's a difference between believing and having the authority. And I mean, this conversation seemed like it took place in a couple of seconds, but it was like a whole download, right? Like, how you download something, it might be some files or whatever. It's a super large files. It takes a long time, but there are some files that and just come down like that. That's how this happened. And in this conversation, basically towards the end of it was about belief. So to share what was shared with me, you could believe a lie. You could believe the truth. It's what you believe in that makes the difference. Belief is neutral. It's neutral. People believe lies every single day. it's unfortunate that the belief in truth is rare. And so I hope and pray that more people believe the truth, because there are a lot of people out here sharing the truth. And I'm not saying what's true, I'm saying the truth, and not truths with an S. Right? We're talking about singular, plural. Singular. That more people believe the truth, because prophets were merely, a prophet means a messenger of God or a messenger of Yahweh, that the person or people who he spoke to that heard him and was like, okay, you want me to tell this to who? I want you to go tell the people because they not listening. Okay. So then that person tells the people what Yahweh said, and they weren't necessarily received it, what was said. And mainly because, I mean, they were going along to get along. And he would always send a messenger to be like, hey, y'all might want to stop doing that, because if you don't, it's not gonna look good for everybody. Or listen, I got a message and he said, get prepared because y'all need to get up out of here before it goes down. I don't know how many times in the scriptures that had happened in different ages and dispensations and everything. He always sends somebody or a few people to say, hey, this is about to happen and you all need to prepare to do this, that, and the other before time. Before time. And some people listened and some people didn't. And the people that listened and did what he said to do and was prepared and got up out of there or changed or whatever, they were okay. But the ones who did not suffered. And that's not what we want. Now, when we see those things happen, like say in the charts, in Forex, right? We looking at the charts and we seeing the history of, oh, when it got here, it did this. Oh, and it got here, did this again. Oh, and it got here, did this again. Every single time, it didn't stay that way, right? Something different happened. Whether it was 1, 2, 5, or whatever people, to where it broke above or below that of what happened historically. That changed something, right? So same thing here in this case, right? You can look at your own individual birth chart. Look at your own individual birth chart and see something that is there. And instead of throwing away the map and traveling blind to find your destination, like GPS is awesome. I remember having to call a place to say, how do you get there? And they said, what expressway is near you where you're coming from? Oh, I'm near 57. I'll be okay. So from there, you would do this, do that. And I had to write it down. I mean, in my lifetime, that's what I had to call the place. I'm coming from here. And then I had to write down the directions. Okay, well, you're coming from there. Once you get off here, then you go here and you see this gas station here, and then you're going to make a left on such and such. And then and now you can just put the address in your GPS thing on your phone or in your car. And and get there. And then they give you a few different options. Do you want to get there a little bit? And then look, then you'll have the time. And then I look at the thing and try to beat the time. Like, oh, they said that I'll arrive by this time. I'm gonna beat that time. I'm gonna get there faster. I'm gonna get there quicker than what the time said. I will get there. Right? That's your own birth chart. Like, don't throw it away. Utilize it. JP Morgan utilized it. And what the astrologist shared with him basically was like, listen, you have all of this Aries, you have an Aries stellium in your second house. This man was built for entrepreneurship. There was no other way for him. Entrepreneurship in his second house. Aries was ruling his second house. And he was an Aries, born April 17th, right? His sun sign in the second house. He had Venus in his second house, Mercury in his second house, Pluto even. This transformational planet, right? In his second house, in Aries. This man revolutionized the financial system. The second house is traditionally ruled by Taurus. Money. This is all about money. Again, resources, personal resources, banking. He was an entrepreneur in the financial sector. This is what this says right here. Entrepreneurship, that's Aries all day. What you start off something, you initiate something, you're the first to do something. And that's what happened in that time. And this was in his birth chart. He was a let's see what else. It was something else that was very interesting to me, because as far as like elements, Aries rules metal, right? Like steel. And let's see about him. JP Morgan became a powerful banking house. He is recognized as one of the all-time wealthiest and most influential American financiers. Morgan also founded US Steel Corp by buying other steel companies and combining them into a conglomerate. That's second house stuff all day. So he bought steel, he formed a steel company, bought other steel companies, steel that's under that Aries domain. He bought them all. Taurus this is your materials. So we talk about, like materials and the materials that you need in order to do some things, right? So with planets and with this stellium in his second house, it's like, yeah, he accumulated some material items, material things. He bought other steel companies. He had a bunch of assets, right? That's all second house things going on there. And again, he used an astrologer to help him to maximize his chart potential, right? So do we call it a SWOT analysis, right? An astrology SWOT analysis for your strengths. What do you do well? What unique resources can you draw on? What do others see as your strength? Right? Write that down. Your weaknesses. What could you improve? Where do you have fewer resources than others? What are others likely to see in you as weaknesses? You have to know your weaknesses, right? You have to know them so that you can strengthen them as much as possible And where you can't strengthen them anymore is where you will form good relationships, healthy relationships with those who will not take advantage of your weaknesses and have your back or front or side, right? Opportunity. What opportunities are open to you? What trends can you take advantage of? This is about to be a 20-year trend. Take advantage of it. How can you turn your strength into opportunities? Right? You want to write that down and work that out, right? Threats, because you have to know them. You have to know that there will be threats. There will be opposition. There will be things not only outside of you, but within you that will pose threats to your to what you are set out to do, right? What threats could harm you? What is your competition doing? You are your greatest competition, right? Compete with yourself. Be better than you were yesterday, right? What are your competitors doing? Okay. What threats do your weaknesses expose to you? Right? You want to do a SWOT analysis on yourself, and you can also find that in your natal chart. So, what are the things that you can do? You can pull your natal chart. In the link in under this video, you'll see www.coachhadassah.com. Click on that link. So you'll go there, and you'll see where it says, hey, free natal chart, right? Like get your free natal chart here. You want to click on that. Now, I have no affiliation whatsoever with the site. I don't get any money off of it or anything like that. It would be great to, but I don't know the person, so it is what it is. But I've definitely sent a lot of people there to that site to get a free chart. It is the most comprehensive to the to a person that's new to this and to get your chart. There's other charts out there that you could get for free, but like I said, it's the most comprehensive because of the information that it does give for free. A lot of the information that's on there, you would have to pay for it. I've even had, like over the years of me, being an astrologist, I've had to pay for certain information. And when I saw that, I was like, well, like you giving this away. Okay. Right. But you'll never get a free individual reading. You probably get a little sample here and there, but really delving down into your chart and the psychology of your chart. Now you need an astrologist, right? An astrologist that's keen or well suited in psychology as well. So enter your date of birth location, and time. The time is important. The time gives you a better, it gives you your chart. If you don't have the time, then what you'll get is a basic, general chart based on your sun sign. But you got to think, there are a lot of people that were born in the same month that you were born, right? They might have been born around the same time. So it'll be really, really general. But but having your birth time really, really helps to generate your individual chart based on your degrees, things like that. You would need your planets, aspects, patterns. All of this is key information into your astrological design. And then the fundamentals. You want to check your fundamentals, your sun, your moon, your ascendant, your midheaven. There are natural expressions of your fundamental nature, right? It's your mindset, your money mindset, and how you go about getting the things that you desire in this world and in this space, and in particular, when it comes to your money and resources. So that is this session of wealth with our health and wealth session in House of Hadassah. We are here on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central. And also, again, in the description box, you want to click on that link, coachhadassah.com. It will take you to our trading platform, our trading education platform with Rogers Wealth Methods. Not only are we a Forex platform, but we're also here to help you with financial literacy, uh, assets, asset acquisition, how to maintain and keep, because that's what it's all about. You know, we can make the money all day long. Um, and it is known that the more money we make, the more money we spend, because that has to do with the way that we have been, programmed to handle money, things that we've seen. I mean, if we've seen our parents had good financial habits, and our family that had good financial habits, then, most likely we will do the same things and acquire assets and have trust set up, and whether revocable or irrevocable, and all of these things. But if we know nothing about that, then that means that what we need financial literacy in order to not only just know these things, but actually apply them, do them, have them working in our everyday life. And having the resources and the network of people who can help us get set up with these things, right? Because that's what it's all about. So we will see you next Tuesday on House of Hadassah, Tuesday and Thursday again, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then also take advantage of our complimentary coaching before it's no longer complimentary. That is, for now, it's Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 a.m. Central. But once we launch and we go live, it'll just be on Wednesdays and Fridays, because usually if we have any bank holidays or anything like that, there's nothing pretty much going on in the market. And so it's like, why are we on the charts? Right? Like, why are we on the charts? Why are we, going through this with coaching and all of that on a Monday? All right. So that is the schedule. And again, you can look at the link down below and you will see that schedule there. So for those of you who are new to my YouTube channel, again, go ahead and subscribe. You can share all of that great stuff. There'll be more content added to the channel. And those of you who are, already family members here at House of Hadassah, always thank you for tuning in. Click subscribe, like, share with your network as well, because we do have some, great content that will be coming moving forward. So you all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you all again next week.